The road at mile 66. It was supposed to be just another night drive. Pedro had been behind the wheel for hours along Highway 219, a lonely stretch of road cutting through the countryside of Minas like an old scar. The rain was thin, whispering against the glass, and the radio hissed between stations. None of them came in clearly out there. The clock on the dashboard read 2:47 a.m. Pedro yawned, resting one hand on the steering wheel. The headlights lit up an old, rusted sign barely standing upright. Mile 66, reduce speed. Weird. He could have sworn he'd passed that same spot before. Greater than sign. Same sign. Same fallen tree by the roadside. Same crooked power pole, wires swaying in the wind. He looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing but darkness. Greater than no headlights. No one behind him. He gripped the wheel and kept driving. But after a few more minutes, there it was again. Mile 66, reduce speed. His heart started pounding. That's impossible, he whispered. The GPS was frozen, the map stuck at the same point, as if the car hadn't moved an inch. Pedro took a deep breath, trying to convince himself it was just fatigue. Greater than focus, only 20 minutes to the hotel. Out of nowhere, the radio came to life, and a woman's voice, hoarse and broken, whispered, "Go back, Pedro." He froze, turned the knob, turned the radio off. But the voice didn't stop. Now, it was one inside the car. Go back, before it's too late. His blood turned to ice. He glanced in the rearview mirror. Nothing. The back seat was empty. He pulled over to the shoulder, turned on the hazard lights, opened the door and stepped out. The rain sliced his face with cold needles. The wind carried a strong, metallic smell, greater than like rust, greater than or blood. On the ground beside the sign were tire tracks, his own, but older, greater than caked with dry mud. And a few feet ahead, a wooden cross planted in the dirt, with a name carved roughly into it. Pedro A. Lima, 1998. Thunder cracks. Violently, car door slams shut. Panicked voice. Pedro stumbled backward, slipping in the mud. Looked at the cross, the car, the empty road, everything spinning. Then the headlights started flashing on their own. And in the passenger seat, greater than was a woman, soaked. Her long hair clung to her pale face. She turned her head slowly and whispered, "You promised you'd come back." Engine starts on its own, tires screeching. The car roared to life, the headlights slicing through the rain. Pedro ran, shouting, trying to open the door, but it was locked. The woman sat still inside, staring straight ahead. The car picked up speed until it disappeared around the curve. Then, silence. Soft wind dripping water. Calmer, somber voice. The next morning, a truck driver found the car overturned in the ditch at mile 66. The driver's body was still strapped in, face turned toward the passenger seat. But that seat was empty. And the radio, still on, whispered softly through the static. "Go back, Pedro. Go back." Radio static fades, replaced by silence. Low, final tone. Since that night, they say that on every rainy, early morning, drivers passing mile 66 on Highway 219 can see the glow of headlights parked by the roadside, and a woman asking for a ride, the house on Black Hollow Road. No one knew who built the house at the end of Black Hollow Road. It had been there long before the town, before the paved highway, before anyone remembered who the first owners were. The locals just called it the Hollow House, a place where lights were sometimes seen through boarded windows, even though no one had lived there for decades. Evelyn Clark didn't believe in ghost stories. She was a photographer who made a living exploring the forgotten corners of rural towns. When she heard about the house, she packed her camera, drove out past the last gas station, and turned down the dirt road that everyone told her to avoid. The air grew colder as she drove. Trees pressed close on either side, their branches tangled overhead like black veins. When she finally saw it, the house looked less abandoned and more asleep. Its shutters hung crooked, and ivy clung to the roof like hands that refused to let go. She parked and stepped out. Her boots sank into the damp ground. The front gate swung open on its own. Evelyn hesitated, then smiled nervously. "Guess I'm welcome," she said, and walked in. Inside, the house was still. Dust floated like pale snowflakes through the beam of her flashlight. Wallpaper peeled in long strips, and the smell of mold was thick and sour. Every creak of the floorboards echoed, as if the house were breathing beneath her feet. She began to take pictures: the staircase, the broken mirror, the cracked window that framed a lifeless tree outside. Each flash revealed details she hadn't noticed before: footprints in the dust that weren't hers, handprints on the wall at child height, a faint red smear near the doorframe. She told herself it was just her imagination, shadows and dust, nothing more. But when she looked at the screen of her camera, something made her stomach twist. In one of the photos, the one of the hallway, there was a figure. A man standing at the far end, facing the wall. His clothes were colorless, old-fashioned. She lowered the camera and aimed her flashlight down the hall. No one there. The air shifted. The house groaned as if something deep inside it was moving. And then a sound, a soft, rhythmic tapping, coming from upstairs. "Old pipes," she muttered. But she didn't believe it. Each step on the staircase felt heavier than the last. The tapping stopped. Then, from behind the last door on the right, a whisper. "Leave." Evelyn froze. The word had been soft, but close, too close. Her heart hammered as she reached for the door handle. The metal was ice cold. She turned it. The door opened into a child's room. The wallpaper was faded with images of moons and stars. Toys lay scattered across the floor, their colors drained by dust and time. And on the wall, written in something dark and uneven, was her own name. Evelyn. The tapping began again, right behind her. She spun around, camera raised, and took a photo. The flash blinded her for an instant. When her vision cleared, the room was empty, except for the mirror on the far wall. In the reflection, she saw the child, a small boy, gray-skinned, staring at her from behind her own shoulder. His mouth was open, but no sound came out. Only the faint shimmer of teeth, too many for his small face. The camera clicked again by itself, and again, and again. Evelyn screamed. The room pulsed with white light, endless flashes that burned her vision. Then everything went dark. Days later, a hiker found her car still parked at the gate, keys in the ignition. Inside the house, nothing was disturbed, except the camera lying on the floor of the child's room. The police developed the last photo. It showed the mirror, and in it, the boy was gone. Evelyn stood where he had been, smiling, eyes black, holding the camera up toward whoever was looking.